We ready? Queens in the house! Why don't we start this off right? Everyone can see what is on that board. He will not divide us!
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 Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Look around. So I want to say, first and foremost, welcome Queens. Queens, the borough of immigrants. Queens. And I want to thank the Museum of the Moving Image for having us here and for having this important and challenging piece of art. So, it's been a difficult week. Would you all agree with me? It's been a difficult week. So the president has mistaken fear-mongering and scapegoating of Muslims and Mexicans as foreign policy. That is wrong. But maybe that's being too generous because it's no mistake after all, is it? Stoking fear and bigotry on purpose. It's reckless, it's dangerous, and it's wrong. We reject this hatred in all of its forms. We are better than this. New York City is better than this. This country is better than this.
Yes!
Yeah. Together, we gather again to say clearly to the world and to our neighbors that we reject hatred, we stand against bigotry, and we embrace diversity in all of its forms. So, I hope you all agree with me, and if you do, shout it loud enough so that he can hear you in the White House. We will never get tired of fighting against racism in all of its forms. We will never get weary of demanding an end to Islamophobia. We will always rise up to defend immigrants, including the undocumented. And we'll defend those with disabilities, women's rights, LGBT rights, the right to choose, the right to marry the one you love, and denounce anti-Semitism every time we So let's take a moment to thank our fellow New Yorkers and our fellow Americans who rushed to the airports all over this country. To say it loud and clear, and this is something we all need to do together. I'm sure you've all here. You've all heard this before, you've all done it before. We are here today to say loud and clear, refugees are welcome here. Loud and clear.
Refugees are welcome here. Loud and clear. Refugees are welcome here. Loud and clear. Refugees are welcome here. Loud and clear. Refugees are welcome here. Loud and clear. Refugees are welcome here. Loud and clear. Refugees are welcome here.
Yeah.
And this is Queens. This is Astoria.
Take the bog
This is New York City. We love our diversity. We are all, in one way or another, immigrants. We are all the children, the sons, the daughters, the granddaughters of immigrants. So let's say together also to the world, no hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate,
no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate.
I hope everyone sees we have not only taken over this space, but we've closed down 37th Street.
Shut it down!
Now, we're here today at this particular space, right in front of this exhibit, because of a very important reason. Now, this is a great museum in our neighborhood. And they've launched this installation, He Will Not Divide Us. It's powerful and it's important. It's an important piece. And I've seen some beautiful moments transpire in this space. But I've also seen some hatred and ugliness right here in this space that I thought I would never see in my hometown of Astoria, Queens. Just the other day, I participated and stood in front of this camera and repeated, He will not divide us. And in response, I received a tweet from a neo-Nazi organization saying, and I won't repeat the name of the organization, but it's been verified, they're here every day. They're here every day. And they said that this space is their sacred ground.
He will not divide us.
Sacred ground for white supremacy, white nationalism, whatever you call it. But we reject that.
Yes!
This is not their sacred ground. This is our sacred ground. Because this is Astoria. This is Queens. This is New York City. And this is still the United States of America. So far from being sacred ground, for those who would divide us, for those who would spew hatred, this is the land of Jews, the land of black men and women, the land of transgender women from Mexico, the land of Muslim Americans. It is all of our land, every single one. And it is the land of some really fierce women in pink hats. That was on the other page, I just had to turn the page. So, we are all here in front of this exhibition, which is being live streamed. This event is being live streamed all around the world. And I want to congratulate the museum because somewhere over 3.5 million people have already viewed this exhibit online. Several thousand people are watching it right now. So, the world hears us. The world hears you. The world sees you, and the world sees us. Just as people are being detained at airports all over the country, we are here to say we have their back. We have their back. And He will never, ever divide us.
No!
Never divide us. So, I want to say that we, all of us, have to stay strong. It's been a difficult 8 days, but it's a marathon and not a sprint. And all of us are going to be called to activism that we never thought we would be called to. But now is the day and the time to stand up and defend our values, what we believe, and what we know to be true. Because these are Queen's values.
Yeah.
They are American values, but they are human values. They are human values above and beyond all. So let me just say I'm grateful to be the council member for this district. Grateful to have been, I have to say, really energized by all that has happened. I started out as a gay rights activist when I was much younger. I didn't have as much gray hair. And then I got into politics, but I have to say this moment has energized me and reminded me of the activist roots that I come from. And all of us are now activists, whether you thought you were going to be an activist or not. We're all activists in this struggle right now. So will he divide us? No! He will not divide us!
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 I want to thank everyone for being here. We have a couple of speakers, one of whom is really, really special. I met him at our march. I don't know how many of you folks were participants or knew of our march across the Queensboro Bridge to Trump Tower. And I want to recognize my staff, the members of Jimmy Van Bramer's staff, are amazing workers. We had never put together a march with 5,000 people, but we did that in a couple of days. I'm proud of the activism, proud of the integrity of all of the members of my team. They do amazing work. But a young man showed up at the front of that march and marched the entire length with me. And we had the most incredible conversation. And for a young man, he's probably much, much smarter than the person currently occupying the Oval Office. And I finally said, I hope your mother is here, right? Mom is here at the march, and Mom and Dad are here with us. They're an incredible Queens family, and they should be very, very proud of their son. So everyone, please welcome Omar.
I just have one thing to say. My parents, my dad, is an immigrant from Bangladesh, and he is a Muslim. And I will not allow Trump to discount him as an American just because of what he believes.
Thank you, Omar. Omar represents the best of Queens. And I'm so grateful. I wish you could have spent the 3 hours I spent with him at that march, because he is going to be president of the United States. He is a very, very smart and thoughtful kid. So we have a couple more speakers. I want to next ask a woman from this area, this community. She's a good friend of ours. She is a fierce Latina lesbian from Queens. Some Latina lesbians in the crowd.
Yeah!
If not, maybe we all love them. We definitely all love them. So everyone, please welcome Eunuch Ortiz.
What Omar just said is all anybody needs to hear, which is we are a country that was founded on the freedom of religion, and we will not turn into a country that will be feared for believing in the religion we choose. It is extremely important that we're all standing together here. You know, last week
As everybody knows, we have a large and growing Muslim community in Queens and in this city, and we love all of our neighbors, do we not? And there is a mosque only 2 or 3 blocks from here. I had the privilege of visiting just earlier this week and meeting with many of the members of the mosque, including the president of the mosque, who's here today. He's also very active with the Bangladeshi American Advocacy Group. Please welcome Mr. Joynal Abedin.
We are here all great Americans. Okay, I'm standing here as a Muslim American. I'm proud to be here in Queens, in the United States of America, and see all the great people who showed up here, who showed up yesterday, who showed up every time when the crisis happened. If anything happened, with the help of God, Almighty Lord, we will be together. Hear the slogan, He will not divide us. I want to add, no one can divide us. We are united and we will be united because this is the great land on earth, the name of this country, America. This country has a long history of respect, integrity, and wisdom. Entire world knows we cannot let our value to be down for someone. So we all have to stand together. Safety and security is the first and foremost duty for the government. I like to thank New York City Mayor, Police Department, and the Governor. They are always welcoming the immigrants, the Muslim, Jews, Christian, Mexican, regardless of race, color. So we all together. Safety and security brings harmony and prosperity. We love that, and with all that, I like to thank every one of you who are present here and who are watching. Can I ask one thing? We all know what is our right as a citizen. We need to do some study. I will ask every one of you, like Omar, what he said before. For somebody, what he believed cannot be discounted. So we all know by studying what is in our history. I will encourage every one of you to study our history for this great nation. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. You just saw a little slice of Queens County, USA. And we are very proud to be a part of that Queens County. So everybody, let's chant some more so all of the people watching all over the world on this live feed can hear us loud and clear and unified. He will not divide us!
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 And let me just thank my husband for allowing me to do this work. Standing right behind me, and I just realized I didn't recognize him, and that makes sure that tonight's dinner is going to be really difficult. And this one is incredibly important. All of us know that this power and this feeling is good, and we should leave here and recommit to making sure that we are doing all that we can to protect all of those who are still being detained and all of the refugees in the world who need a safe place to come home to. No hate, no fear, refugees are welcome here. No hate,
No fear! Refugees are welcome here! No hate! 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 No fear! Refugees are welcome here!
Now for those folks, not just the folks who disagree with us, because this is a space where folks who support President Trump can come and talk, and there are folks who may disagree with our worldview, and they can come and share their views as well. We are here to denounce the white supremacists, the hate groups who have decided that this is their sacred ground. I make that distinction, and I know that we all make that distinction, and I want them to know that we recognize that distinction as well. So we are saying, though, to those folks who might think in this moment, or might be empowered in this moment, to believe that hatred of immigrants, that hatred of Muslims is appropriate, and that white supremacy is something that could gain steam.
Never!
This will not happen, not here, not now, not ever. So whose streets?
Our streets!
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 Whose city?
Our city!
Whose city?
Our city!
Whose city?
Our city!
Whose queen?
Our queen!
Whose queen?
Our queen!
Whose queen?
Our queen!
Whose country?
Our country!
Whose country?
Our country!
Whose country?
Our country!
When they say get back, we say fight back. When they say get back,
We say fight back!
When they say get back,
We say fight back!
When they say get back,
We say fight back!
When they say get back,
We say fight back!
When they say get back,
We say fight back!
the people united.
Will never be defeated! The people united 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 will never be defeated!
This is what democracy looks like. Sometimes it's a little messy, we make it up as we're going along. So show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like!
You all look beautiful, by the way. I want you to know you all look beautiful. Thank you very much, Kenya. Someone said I look beautiful too.
You do.
As an aging gay man, I'll take it. So let me just say, this is an amazing, amazing time in our country. And I know that every night I go to bed, especially these last 8 days, and every day I get up, we're challenged to believe in the hope that I know that we all feel. But I want all of us to never, ever give up hope, to never, ever give up the fight, and to feel the power and the love and the strength that occurs when all of us get together like this. That you should feel the power when thousands of people rush out to airports all over the country at a moment's notice. There are terrible things that are happening in this country now, but there are also beautiful things that are happening in response. And all of us need to feel that and own it, because I believe firmly that we are on the right side.
Yeah! Right side!
Woo! It's history. So, I want to invite all of you to participate in this exhibit right now. When we stop speaking on the megaphone, all of us should come even closer together in front of this microphone, facing the microphone, facing the world, and then we'll rotate in and out, chanting, "He will not divide us," right? That is a powerful way to end this rally, a powerful way to send a message to the world and to Queens and to those who are watching this live feed, those who thought that they could make this a sacred ground for hatred, that it will never be that we would never allow that to happen, and that this is a sacred ground for love and
He will
hope
not divide
and
us.
diversity and all of the Queen's values that we all share and believe in and will fight for. So thank you all for being here.
People one love! People one love!
Make sure you stay close. I'm really proud of the Queen's values, the Queen's response, and the resist work that my office has been doing. So please, Jimmy Van Bramer on all the social media feeds, stay in touch. We have another big action coming in the next week or so. We are not going to stop. I will keep doing this for as long as I have to.
All people one love! 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 All people. He will not divide us. 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 He will not divide
Two quick announcements. One, I did want to remind everyone, and I was reminded that there is an important march today at 2 p.m. downtown.
2 to 5.
What's that?
It's 2 to 5.
2 to 5, Battery Park, starting at Battery Park, right? Make sure you're aware of all of these marches. We encourage you to attend all of them. But I also did want to interrupt for 1 second because we have been joined by New York City Public Advocate Letitia James.
The Bogdanovs rule over France with an iron but fair fist. Be wary of them.
Legal residents
The Rothschilds bow to them.
prevented from entering into our country. Individuals who fought for our rights be free are being detained. Religious tests and regional tests are unconstitutional. They're un-American. They're inconsistent with our values and our principles. And we, all of us, have an obligation and duty when confronted with a lawless government to do what? Resist! You can't hide behind unconstitutional and illegal bans on immigrants, on Muslims, on refugees, individuals who have already been vetted for public safety. You can't do that. And so, we've got to stand up for our values. We cannot compromise our values now. This is not the time for weak-kneed Democrats. We've got to take a page from history. Remember, it was young people who stood up for women's rights. It was young people who were part of SNCC and the Civil Rights Movement. It was young people who took to the streets and who demanded that Mandela be free. And it was the young people who stood in the way of the tanks at Tiananmen Square. It was the young people who knocked down the wall in but Jimmy and I will not compromise. And we're not going down. We're not going to take it. We're going to stand up because whenever your rights are under attack, what do you do? Stand up and... What do you do? You fight back. What do you do? Do that again.
All right, we practiced a lot before you got here, Tim. So we're like really good at this now. All right, this is serious.
Okay, it's serious.
No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here.
No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here.
People united will never be defeated.
That one we didn't do so good. But... The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united
will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated.
All right, who can do it in Spanish? El pueblo
unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo.
Thank you all. We will never be divided.